Welcome back to Crypto Meets AI. Jerry here with an update for you. Do me a favor, friends. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and comment down below. Now let's get into this. Good morning, my friends. People are breathing a lot easier around the world today, and this is why. The left would like you to believe what Trump did was illegal and against the law. In fact, they were not complaining or crying about when Obama drone striked Americans and unalived people. This is how a real Venezuelan feels about what happened with Maduro, Trump, and all this mess.
This is a message for my American friends watching the news today in English. There is a serious inaccuracy in the coverage. Venezuela is not undergoing a regime change. Venezuela already has a democratically elected president, Edmundo González. He is the president. Nicolás Maduro is not the president. He never was. He stole the last election and led a criminal organization linked to terrorism and drug trafficking, El Cartel de los Soles. And today, thanks to the vision and courage of the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, the decisive leadership of the President Donald Trump, and the actions of Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, the United States has finally recognized a fundamental truth. Protecting our hemisphere from terrorism, drug cartels, and authoritarian ideologies is a matter of national security for the United States.
The left-wing media was just caught refusing to cover the fact that tens of thousands of Venezuelans are celebrating Donald Trump's victory over Maduro in Buenos Aires. They won't show it. They hate Trump so bad that they'd rather have Venezuelans suffer. Hell, they hate Trump so bad and have TDS so bad that they'll let Americans suffer. Venezuelans are probably the least of their concerns. It's sad to see that the only people that aren't celebrating this are the Democrats. And you know the fake news is furious after all these videos and all these places, Spain, Venezuela, Argentina, Times Square, New York, Miami, they're all celebrating it. And the mainstream media and the fake news all refuse to cover it. So that's why people like me need to show it. Breaking news, Venezuelans have been out in Miami for 12 hours celebrating the capture of Maduro. Many say they've been FaceTiming their relatives inside Venezuela, and they are celebrating. Everyone is celebrating, except the Democrats. I really don't think anybody is surprised anyways. Trump could cure cancer, Trump could make all the wars go away, and they'll still be against it. It wouldn't matter. The TDS is real.
An overwhelming sense of joy. Local leaders and officials have also made it out here to support the Venezuelan community. I spoke to many others that say we've been FaceTiming our relatives inside Venezuela. They're celebrating. Meanwhile, here we are donning the colors red, yellow, and blue in honor of Venezuela. The celebrations, these festivities will continue well into the evening hours. But as I noted, that big contrast with the scene inside Venezuela in Caracas, where people prefer to lay low in the meantime.
This is an issue that shouldn't matter what political side you're on. If you're an American, free and fair elections, regardless of you're a Democrat or Republican, it shouldn't matter. But when we have these companies like Smartmatic and Dominion, voting machines that have been accused of manipulating elections as far back as 2006 or earlier, today we do have the proof to end election fraud once and for all. Not just in the U.S., but around the world. Every country must demand election integrity.
Antonio Mujica and his partner Alfredo Anzola received a small business loan from the Venezuelan government only months before the recall election. These corporate registration documents from Venezuela show the Venezuelan government owned 28% of the stock of another company they started, Vista, which adapted voting software for the Smartmatic machines in the 2004 elections. The same document shows a Chavez government minister, Omar Montillo, was on the board of directors. The Chavez government gave Bizta, Smartmatic, and another company a $91 million contract to run voting machines for the 2004 election. The next year, the owners of Smartmatic, primarily owned by Venezuelan businessmen, bought Sequoia, one of the top electronic voting system companies in the United States, for $16 million. Smartmatic is a labyrinth of international holding companies owned by Venezuelan businessmen. Smartmatic Group NV of Curaçao, Netherlands, Antilles owns Smartmatic International BV of Amsterdam, Netherlands, owns Smartmatic Corporation of Florida, which bought Sequoia Voting Systems of California, USA. When Smartmatic bought the U.S. voting machine companies, the U.S. government did not review the sale. Many experts say those voting machines were manipulated in Venezuela to give President Hugo Chavez a victory. Exit polls done by the U.S. firm Penn, Schoen and Berland had Chavez losing 41% to 59%. But the next day, Chavez declared victory, reversing the score, saying he won 59% of the vote.
Everything was computed in the favor of the government. So the only explanation is that the Smartmatic machines had been programmed in that way.
A Harvard mathematician crunched the numbers on the Venezuelan election.
It had to be the Smartmatic system. All these machines talk to a central computer and report on their results. And in that mechanism, as they communicate with the central machine can report anything.
Smartmatic is technically based in Boca Raton, Florida, but the president of the company, Jack Blaine, testified to the Chicago City Council. Fewer than a dozen Smartmatic employees work in Florida. The majority of the workers are based in Venezuela.
And for those who don't know, that Smartmatic has been indicted by the DOJ. A grand jury has indicted Smartmatic. They were cheating. If we don't go back to one-day voting, paper ballots, no mail-in voting unless there's a valid reason, and voter ID. If we don't do those things, there will always be cheating in our elections. Unless you put our voting system on blockchain or DLT technology, like Hedera or something, HBAR. This is just crazy. This is so wild. It's just so blatant and right out in front of us. It's obvious. This is mind-blowing. Minneapolis paid a Somalian restaurant $12 million in federal child meal funds after it claimed to feed 4,000 to 6,000 kids per day. The FBI watched the restaurant for 6 weeks. An average of 40 people showed up. If fraud is this obvious and it still gets approved, corruption has been normalized.
In December of 2021, the FBI installed a surveillance camera overlooking this building just off Lake Street in Minneapolis. At the time, it was Safari Restaurant, which overall took in $12 million in federal child meal payments through Feeding Our Future. Safari's former co-owner, Salim Saeed, is on trial alongside Amy Bach, the Feeding Our Future executive director. Safari claimed to feed 4,000 to 6,000 kids a day. Its invoices and meal counts shown to the jury alongside the video. An FBI agent testifying that an average of 40 people came and went during the 6 weeks it was surveilled. The FBI set up a total of 12 cameras at sites claiming to serve extraordinary numbers of meals. Another was at a deli in St. Paul, also registered by defendant Salim Saeed, which claimed 1,800 meals per day. The video shown to the jury showed an average of 23 people a day coming and going. The jury was shown dozens of invoices, meal counts, and emails seized from Feeding Our Future's headquarters in St. Anthony. Some showed links to websites that randomly generated names and ages to create rosters of children who were served meals. Many were signed or sent by Amy Bach, who's charged with wire fraud, along with bribery for the alleged kickbacks that she received. Her defense attorney tried to raise doubt when it cross-examined the FBI agent, that they didn't see the back entrance where it's possible meals left packed in trucks for delivery. He pushed back, insisting they'd still see congestion. To that volume, he said, I would say it would not make any sense.
That case right there became one of America's biggest COVID-era fraud cases ever. All I have to say, if we don't see some arrests, some denaturalization, and some deporting, then there will be no justice, and this type of stuff will continue to happen because there's never no repercussions or consequences to it.
Government for billions of dollars, we want to see them not only held accountable, but we want to see them deported back to where they came from. And we want these programs to stop. We want our politicians, and when I say politicians, I'm mainly talking about the Democrat politicians in these blue cities and blue states. We want them to start taking the taxpayers' hard-earned tax dollars they send to the state capitals and to Washington, D.C. They want them to take it seriously and to get the backs of the taxpayers. That's what we try to do on the Oversight Committee. But where we haven't been successful is seeing people, prosecuted by the Department of Justice. I'm pretty confident that you're going to see a lot of arrests in this, and hopefully a lot of deportations and a whole different change in culture with these welfare programs. There's too much welfare in America. We can't afford the welfare that we have. And there are too many illegals in this country. The Trump administration has done a tremendous job cutting off the flow of illegals into the United States. They're doing their best to deport people. But I think ground zero is Minnesota right now. And I think we're finally going to see some action. I think the people that watch Sean Hannity's show every day, they're going to be very satisfied.
If we got rid of all this waste, fraud, and abuse, Medicare wouldn't be at risk. Medicaid wouldn't be at risk. Social Security wouldn't be at risk. All these programs would probably have plenty of money. Well, that's what I have for you folks. Thank you for watching. I truly do appreciate it. I hope you all have a blessed day, and I'll see you tomorrow.